Hello, lovely people. It's us again, the Divine Team, Lisa and Tatiana. And it's the second podcast, and we're going to talk about energies, how fear comes up, self-doubt, and also, yeah, how it happens, how it can show up. And Lisa, we just talked about it. I had like my fear. I had to go. Can I share this before we get deep
Course,
and deep and deep? Because
definitely.
obviously I started my new freelance job and it is a bit different from what I thought it was. And I got like last year I was super aligned, no fear. I just like was like a shield and popping it away from me. But this time it was like it creeped in. This happened with the freelance job and it happened and I'm just in my mind, and that's when the fear started to pop up and like, oh, is it good enough? I thought it was different from when I thought before I started how it is going to be. Anyway, so I'm still like with this energy, but we talked about going back to the heart, and yeah, so that's what I did before the session, and I can feel the energy is just pumping in. But I have to, because the fear is still there, have to tell myself, hey, go into your heart, and then everything is going to be all right. So that was my fear for today, Lisa. But yeah.
And that's a brilliant example of how something just comes in and takes the rug from under us. And that's why it's so important to maintain our how can I say, our practice,
Yeah.
our spiritual practice on a daily basis, because the more aligned we are, the more we instantly know how unaligned we are when these things come in and send us into the head. And obviously,
Mhm.
the more aligned we are and the more we keep on top of our practices, the quicker we kind of jump back to knowing that, okay, this doesn't feel good, so I
Yeah.
need to come back to myself.
Yeah.
And the quicker we do that, the more aligned we become, the more we then in that peace where we can truly see what's going on.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's wonderful. Not wonderful that you've had the experience, but it's strange how you've had that experience when we've just decided to come on
Hmm.
and speak about the topic of fear.
Yeah.
So, do you want me to continue, Tatiana, with what I was going
Yeah.
to say? Oh, yeah. So, I just
Yeah.
wanted to talk about fear in from my perspective, from my perception of how over the years it's come in to me, and now it's come in sometimes really to debilitate us from walking on our path, and we're often
Hmm.
taught when we're intuitive or psychic, whatever word you have for that, we're often taught by people outside of ourselves, teachers, religion, not to go into these places.
Hmm.
Um, it's scary and you're going to unleash something, and
Yeah.
things that are really going to stop you. So from the very start of my journey, when I first started having this kind of awakening, so to speak, and when I say awakening, it was a starting to look within myself because
Mm.
I knew there was something more to life. I started doing Usui Reiki. And on the first part of that journey, as I learned with a beautiful teacher to do Reiki 1 and 2, I'd start meditating. You'd go through these, starting to set daily routines up.
Yeah.
And often I would start to meditate. And as soon as I start to meditate, I would get these images jump right in. And first of all, the first one, I always remember it clearly, it was my gran. And I had such a close relationship to my gran. But as she come in, and I'm kind of thinking, oh, my gran's coming
Mm.
in. As she come in, her face was distorted. So it put
Right.
me in fear of not wanting to continue to meditate.
Yeah.
But I carried on just holding the space and coming back to myself, and it dissipated.
Mm.
And over time,
Lovely.
several things that I did would have issues like this coming up. So one in particular that was quite clear to me was in a meditation, a witch literally stood in front of me, this image of a witch. Her
Mm.
eyes were spinning, and I was like,
Spinning.
what's going on? But at this point, I'd done Usui Reiki, so I was understanding more about being in the light and expanding the light. So I immediately imagined her becoming smaller. And
Yeah.
then she was sitting on a chair like a little doll. And then she went smaller and smaller and fell off the chair, and I stamped on her. So,
She
so
deserved it.
yeah, so it's almost as these things have come in over time. I was learning how to combat them, to stop them blocking my
Yeah.
path, stopping me moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I'm sharing this is because obviously people don't really talk about. I've never really heard anybody talk about this,
No,
and I'm just
it's the
sorry. Go
inner
on.
fear that we don't talk about, and it makes so much sense. And I have a story there as well. But keep going, keep going.
So obviously that's why we wanted to share this, because for you, some of you may be out there experience the
Hmm.
same things and thinking, oh, I've let something in, because that was my immediate, I've let something in. But it
Yeah.
was the witch was a form of fear that I have within myself. And the fear that I have within myself, I've put a face to it, a face that we've been told on stories, even
Hmm.
children's cartoons, the old witch in Snow White,
Yeah.
the monsters in the movies. And so that's sometimes the images we put to them. So once we start to learn that everything's energy, because this is what I know now, so everything's
Hmm.
energy. So that energy has a feeling to it. So I
Yeah.
kind of let it come in and feel the energy, knowing that I've this light inside of me, and
Yeah.
I expand my light, or maybe you could put a clown's head on something. You could, whatever way you feel is
Yeah.
the way for you to disperse that negative
Yes.
energy. But
I feel.
even if you just sit in a space within you, and it might even be that you feel that you're in the darkness and this image is looking at you, and just feel your heart and continue to be the light, it will clear.
Mm.
It will clear it.
Yeah, and calling in your spirit guides is so like so powerful. That's why what I always do. But yeah, I love this, Lisa, because I remember obviously I was born in like 87. Why do I have to tell the date here? Anyway, so for everyone to know, they just like tell the year. It's like, okay, we're going with the flow. So when I was 11, 10 or 11, I don't remember. And obviously I was always a medium, but I wasn't practicing it. And I remember this night where I, 1, 2, 3 a.m. I don't remember. I was laying on my in my bed, and I remember this dark, cold entity on top of me. I could feel the breath, and it was there for an hour, and I could not move. And I don't know if that. I don't think it was a paralysis. This nighttime paralysis, you call it, or this?
Paralysis.
Yeah, that's the word.
Right.
Anyway, oh my God, my words. And I remember when I was in this situation, I didn't call on my spirit guides team because I had no idea actually what was this. I was scared, and I was 10, 11. I didn't know what to do. But later on, nothing happened to me, but it scared me. So I closed my gifts down. And for me, that was like, the fear came up, and I think it took me 8 or 9 years to come back to my gifts and have a look. What was it? And why did this show up? And in the end, it was. I'm not sure if that was a different energy or myself, but it attracted in a way, but it didn't do anything. So we need to remember that when these things happen, is there something I in my body that needs to be released? The fear, um, anything that is trapped in there. And I always remember that because I feel so scared. And I think because I never talked about this because I was like, I'm people will think I'm crazy, but that only this time something like this happened, but I still remember the fear, and I had to work through this. I don't know what it was, but yeah, people don't talk about it, and I didn't know that
No.
I could call on my spirit guides to clear it, to help me.
Yeah,
It
to
would have been a
guide.
completely different story, yeah, back then.
And again, like you say, it's to shut your abilities down, isn't it? I'm sure
Yeah,
that as a child, I saw things, but I am certain that I shut it down about age 5 or 6. but
Yeah.
then it's there waiting to come forward. So we've still got
Hmm.
to look at these fears that are within us to
Yeah.
clear them. And one particular one that came up, that came to mind as you were talking, was I think I did my Reiki Masters. I can't remember what year. I think it was about 2009. And after I'd done it, within the week of doing it,
Hmm.
I got this, what I could only describe as a werewolf, stood on my left side. Big teeth,
Hmm.
everything, big claws, and he just stood there. And I'm thinking, what the heck have I done? I've let this energy in, blah blah. So the lady that had taught me my Reiki masters, I phoned her because obviously you keep in touch with the
Yeah.
teacher, and I explained to her what was happening, and she said it isn't a werewolf, Lisa. She said it will be your animal guide as a wolf.
Ah,
And as soon as
here we
she
go.
said it, it went down on all fours and it became the wolf. So again, me not understanding that we have these spirit guides
Hmm.
or we even have guides meant that when the wolf came in, my first reaction was to be feared because that's what
Yeah.
we've been taught. That's where
Hmm.
this fear, we've been taught to be feared of any, we've been taught to be feared of the dark. So you wait, it's like something comes, it's like, oh my God, what's happening? This is my ability to see because I'm psychic. And
Yes.
what am I doing? I'm shutting it down. And many people have
Hmm.
probably stopped themselves in the tracks from becoming these beautiful open channels of light through these.
Yeah.
So that's another reason we want to share with you. And again, if you've
Yeah.
any issues or you've any concerns, you can always message us, book a session with us. Because sometimes, like Tatiana said, it's a fear that maybe you're ready to let go of. It's a fear
Yeah.
of self-doubt, a fear, but
Yeah.
it's a fear within you that you're ready to release.
Hmm.
On the whole, I think, like Tatiana said, calling in your guides. And again, this is why get yourself into a spiritual practice,
Hmm.
spiritual routine each day, because
Exactly.
this is how I clear my energy fields every day.
Hmm.
I sit and align and
Yeah.
clear the energy fields. And
Exactly.
then you can sense what's happening. But because you've aligned and you're more grounded, the fear doesn't take your feet from under you. Or if it
Exactly.
does, as it did with Tatiana a little bit
Yeah,
today.
today exactly because I wasn't practicing, and I normally do
Yes,
this every day in the morning or evening, doesn't matter. But I haven't done that for the past 4 days, which makes sense now that there
because
is
you're out of routine, aren't you? And sometimes we
exactly.
do, we're people, we're human, we go on holidays, you've started a new side to your business. So we're
Hmm.
doing things differently. And sometimes it's not as easy to stay in the routine. But once we know, if ever
Yeah,
you're not fear, come back to grounding, connecting to Gaia. That's how
yeah,
you ground and connecting to source creator or that energy that I call God, whatever name you have for it, and bring that light in. And if that doesn't clear that fear, continue to do that as your daily routine.
exactly,
Eventually, it will shift or it will bring somebody to you that will help you, or it'll bring a
exactly.
name up that you will know to go to for that help and support.
Yeah, and we always think it's like, oh, how can they help me? Because I was working with two clients who were like, I don't know who they are. I have no idea what my spirit guides. And if you want to check it out, our first podcast is about spirit guides. Um, and sometimes we don't need to know who they are. It's amazing to know who they are, but we can still call on them. And that's what I gave to my clients. I was like, just do that. Sit with yourself for 5, 10, 15 minutes and ask them to give you messages, ask them to help you. And it's so easy because it works all the time. It's not like, oh, I'm dialing up my spirit guides, but they're not there. It's not. They always answer, even if you can't hear it. And for me, since that day, I think I was 18 or 19 when I started to communicate with my spirit guides again. And obviously, fear's popping in and out, but it's manageable. Like I had you, Lisa, we're like, oh, I'm ungrounded, this happened. And you just helped me there
To
to
be
be,
aligned, isn't it?
yeah,
Excuse
exactly,
me.
to aligned.
To become aligned. And this is the good
Hmm.
thing about as we move on our path, you tend to start to find people you can follow.
Yeah.
that you'll get information from, or you get people in your group. Most people now who will be watching these podcasts, I would imagine, are quite spiritually aware
Hmm.
some way on their, on your
Yeah.
journey. But like I say, I've never heard anybody really share this side of things. So we just felt compelled to do so.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you understand you're not on your own, and no, you're not being taken over. It's
Mm.
it's just the fears that we need to clear. It could also be sometimes the fear of the consciousness, the
Collective consciousness.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can have like, people like a large group of people who are in fear if they've watched something on the telly, that something's going to happen. And then you've got that energy kind of floating about in the ether, so
Yes.
to
And
so that can enter.
I know that the female collective also is like with bad men coming out with the 7,000 men who were on this WhatsApp group. I don't know if you heard about it, that men, how to abuse their mothers, sisters. I don't want to go into detail. Anyway, they found
Yeah.
out these, like, everything comes up. And obviously, the female collective, we're more proud and stronger than before. However, there's still this collective where I think there is a lot of fear, like, oh, are all men like this? Are all men bad?
Yes.
So that comes place in it. We don't always see that where the fear is coming from, but good thing to ask your spirit guides. They always give me, like, well, you said it, alignment, and come on. Yeah, I
And
think that plays a role as well.
And sometimes the spirit guides, you might say, I need some help. And as I was explaining, a name might come to you. You might feel that you're not getting that help
Mm,
immediately, but
yeah,
over maybe a few days, something will come to you because you're calling out to the universe
yeah,
direction. So it will come to you. But like I say, if you follow anybody like me and Tatiana, who work, 100% with the light and are,
yeah.
very up there in maintaining our energy and clearing our energy fields,
Hmm.
that's ultra important. You could always call on somebody, like us, and we'd be happy to help.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
so yeah, it's the other thing that is also good to know is when you're in that space, I think I mentioned about sometimes you might feel like you've dropped into darkness. And sometimes when we first experience that feeling of darkness, it's that again, as we have an instant reaction to it, as in, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this darkness? But what
Yeah.
I learned over time on my journey is that feeling of just sit in the darkness, because what we forget is we are this light. For me, we have this spark of light that I
Mhm.
call my God light.
Yeah.
And again, you might have a different name for that. Some people don't like the term God. It's creator energy, source energy, but
Universe, yeah, source.
that's just the name I call it. And that light, no matter how small it is, depending where we are in our lives, is always there within us. And it might just be flickering, but it's always lit. So
Yeah.
I always used to sit when I was going through some deep kind of dark days of healing. I would
Mhm.
sit in that space of
Yeah.
darkness, just sort of connecting with that light. So it was a little candle, and just knowing almost like that warmth is there. And at some point, because nothing ever remains the same, at some
Yeah.
point there will be a shift. If you sit in your heart space, even if it feels that you're in a dark, shadowy place, it will shift. It's just knowing that
Hmm.
you come into the center as opposed to go up into the head where we're going
Yeah.
to let the monkey mind go off,
Yes.
looking about.
It's a
So I
bit
don't
of discipline in the beginning when you're like, oh, I'm always in my head. No, practice that. It's like you need to train this muscle as well, I feel, because
know
I
that's
think,
spot on, Tatiana.
yeah, because I feel when I started, like, manifesting and believing in me and my power and that I'm the lucky girl, I obviously it's discipline in the beginning, like, because when something bad pops up, oh, again, here we go again, I knew it. Like, how can you shift that and then go into your heart, connect, and it can be like 2, 3 seconds where you're like, no, I'm lucky. I'm lucky. And it's always like overwriting this with affirmations, with energy work, with like just coming to yourself. And we can all do this. It's nothing that, oh, only special people can do this. No, we all fear the fear. We all can change that.
Yes. And as a collective, as we're clearing this energy from within ourselves, and what we're doing is we clear that fear and know how
Yes.
to overcome it. We're taking back our power. We're becoming empowered once more
Hmm.
to walk on this path. And I feel now we're at a stage where we're coming more together with like-minded people because we need that support for one
Yeah.
another. You know,
Yes.
the circle is getting bigger so that we're all here to support one another and sort of hold one another's hands as we move
Exactly.
forward together on this path of light. And that light
Exactly.
in itself, as that starts to clear the energy, this is how we're clearing and changing what's going on outside of ourselves.
Yes. And activating and sticking together, growing together. That's our true nature and not like sitting in front of laptops 24/7 and trying
Yes.
to figure out how to sort things out. Like that's what I'm getting like, Tatiana, here we
Oh,
go.
is that
That's not the nature. That's not the
that's
nature.
that's your message from your guides today?
Yeah, 100%. That hits, but it's good because um we want to be so abundant, but we never think about what brings the abundance. Is it like doing my own thing? Is it going in a freelance job? Or is it just being with myself and meeting new people and not worrying about where the money's coming in? And don't get me wrong, we're human beings. We in the 3D and we need to make money. But yeah, I think more and more when the fear goes, that we make space for something what we're truly here for. I believe in that.
That's yes. It's almost like something, the fear steps out of the way to allow the space to be filled with abundance
Yes.
and possibilities. And that's where the manifestation comes in, where we can
Yes,
manifest easily more of whatever we want, love,
exactly.
time. That's another big thing, isn't it? Time. And I'm finding that
Hmm.
time is becoming more expansive. It,
Yes,
it's very odd how time changes through the day. I know we're going a little bit off kilter from what we were
that's all
talking
right.
about, but it just shows you how we end up going down another road because there's so many conversations to be
Yeah.
had about this spiritual path. So
Hmm.
it'd be something we could talk about at another time.
Yes, I love this, but yeah, fear is like so it runs so deep and it is in our DNA. But I think and I feel that when light beings, and that's us, light beings, like even like the ETs or ourselves, our starseeds, when we decide to actually use that power, it's that's what we're going in this direction. We're going in this direction where we all like abundant light and where we don't need to think about it. Can I afford this? Or can I? It's just like it comes naturally and you trust it. And it's not about like having it right in this moment, but that's where we go in to be.
Yes, taking charge really of
Yes.
ourselves and responsibility for ourselves, and how we use our energy and how we think. So,
Mm.
so if any of you have experienced anything that we're talking about at this moment, and you want to share it, I
Yes.
don't know how you say Tatiana. Is it in? Do we go? Is it in the messages below? I don't.
In the captions. So you can
Oh,
comment as well. We will answer.
Tatiana's the great technical IT person. As you can see, I'm not really sure about all that side of things. I could just do a lot of talking.
That's why I'm here. We're such like we're just playing together. Like
Yes,
I
fit
think it's
together.
perfect.
So
Perfect
yeah,
heart.
maybe if you would like to share something, or and maybe
Yes.
not. Maybe you just listen to this in the hope, because again, as we always say, when we come together in this energy, you always receive. So even in this
Mm.
space, if there's been any little niggly fears there within you, you might even find now, as we sat, that something's being cleared. Because as we're actually sat here now, I can feel, and don't think you can feel it, Tatiana, that the
Yeah.
light is just spinning in this circle between us, and it's just clearing this space for any fears, for anybody that's watching this. It's as though that light is spinning that we've created, that me and Tatiana, as we set the intention to come together in this group, to do these podcasts, the energy always comes through because the energy is always with us because our guides are here, and I can
Yeah.
feel the guides as if they've been here, but almost like they're stepping up now to say we certainly are here, and we're here
Yeah.
to bring this energy in and this light to
Yeah.
the lights within you, to light your lights up, to allow you to
Yes.
expand
Yes.
your
Yes.
light
Yes.
and overcome these fears. That's why this conversation's taking place, so we can help
Yes.
overcome the fears and break that wall or that restriction of what might be stopping you moving forward to the new.
Exactly. And for me personally, I just the light. I switched the light switch. I switched the light switch. You know what I mean? But I just feel like this energy now, and the guy's like, yes, that's the right frequency. Yes, yes, yes. Because they I feel like being Delulu and being in this lucky girl kind of, oh, everything's happy. That's the moment when everything happens. And I want to be more in this. And I've forgotten about it. Last week and this week we're just like doing, and that's I left this in 2024, but this was a good reminder, and for everyone, like, maybe you feel the same, and that's the same with fear. I feel, but I decided, and maybe you decide as well, hey, I want to work on this, I want to leave this more behind, and we gave you tools. This is so sweet that Lisa and me, we gave you tools. Connect with your heart, connect, when something comes up, look at it, don't look away, face it, and yeah,
And
we're always here. Yes.
change it,
Mm,
face it. I
change
think I
it.
remember telling my grandson once he'd had a nightmare. I can't remember
Oh.
a clown's face or something. And I
Mm,
said, put a funny face on it. Put one of the smiley, what do they call them on your phone? A smiley.
emojis. Yeah.
Yeah, put an emoji face on the top of it when you close your eyes. If you see it, change it. There's so many ways we can, switch it's all about switching
Yes.
our perception. And in the switching of our perception, it changes everything.
Yes.
It changes the energy. It just,
Exactly.
to go from fear to laughter, if you've changed how an image looks, is massively powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So, very simple tools we can have. But like you said, Tatiana, about, you felt you was in such a great place the end of last year, and then all of a sudden, but you're in a place of change. You're in a place of
Yeah,
something new coming in, and
that
every
is
time
true.
something new shifts and we change,
Mm-hmm.
work, relationships, or
Yeah.
something can just come up out of the blue that we're not expecting. It's so easy to go back into that pattern within the head. But as long as we know, we can always come back to, this toolkit to drop into the
Yeah,
heart. That's
exactly.
our way of coming back into alignment. And as you said, it's in the peace where we find ourselves. It's almost like I want to say it's in that heart sphere where we find the parts of us that need picking up and bringing back in
Mm-hmm.
alignment. And that's the way to do it. That sounds like a puppet of Punch and Judy. That's the way to do it.
That's the way. This is the way. And I do with the Mandalorian
Sorry
way.
about
This is
that.
the way. I love this. Yeah, this is so true. And I love that because we have the power to change literally everything. And then let's do this. Let's empower each other. Let's empower yourself. If you
Yeah.
don't have any people who are there, support yourself. Be your biggest fan. And that's what I'm getting. My team is so like always empowered. And yes, that's the right energy. So I love to talk about these things. And oh my God, I also love to go through this because it was like something came up and I cleared it, and now I feel way better. Guys, you have to do that.
Yeah.
It's
Feel
yeah,
expansive. That's the
exactly.
thing. And it's always lovely once we've cleared it. And sometimes it can
Hmm.
take, I've had things with me that have took days to clear, even though I know what I know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, yeah, I've had to work on it. It's not sort of taken my feet from under me, but it's like I can often have a discomfort in the chest
Hmm.
until whatever needs clearing clears. So some things, they're not
Yeah,
instant. We're not saying it's easy and it's a
yeah.
quick fix because it isn't, but it's all about
Mm,
you maintaining your practice. Keep coming back
exactly,
to you, and as you come back to you, you'll shift and change what's taking place.
exactly.
And sometimes we have to make decisions to alter the way we do things in our life or put boundaries up, or we have to speak up and say to someone we're not happy with something, and that's not always easy, but we've got
Mm,
the tools to do it. So
yeah, yeah. This is
so
lovely.
So I think we've kind of come to the end of this podcast to you, Tatiana. Is there anything else you would like to add? Is there anything
No,
you guys want to say?
I was thinking, no, we passed on the messages. My spirit guides that had that to say, but I said it just like a minute ago. No, I think we're good. Is there anything you would like to add, Lisa?
No, I think I feel that within this session we've got a lovely light coming in. I feel like anybody that's been watching, there's a light penetrating in the
Mm,
back behind you. It's just like a warmth of love. I feel that you may feel a warmth of love and feel
yes,
slightly lifted as you've watched this podcast.
yes,
Hopefully, anyway,
exactly.
because that's what we want to inspire and uplift anybody that's watching. So
Exactly.
thank
So
you so
thank you
much.
so much.
And yeah, see you next week. Hopefully, we will
Exactly.
do podcast 3.
Exactly. See you next week. Bye.